Shabbat. Do not pass me by with your fire. We can surely, we can surely fly. Divine to return of fire. Then will I climb even higher. Elohim of the blessed, blessed Shabbat. Elohim of the blessed, the blessed Shabbat. Do not pass me by with your fire. We can surely fly. Divine to return fire. Even higher. Elohim of the blessed, blessed Shabbat. Elohim of the blessed, blessed Shabbat. Shabbat. Shalom. Do not pass me by with your fire. We can surely fly. Divine to return of fire. Then will I climb even higher. Elohim of the blessed, blessed Shabbat. Elohim of the blessed, the blessed Shabbat. Do not pass me by with your fire. We can surely fly. Divine to return fire. Black light, even higher. Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King. Yah, we delight in your Shabbat. We enter your rest and your praises we sing. Yah, we delight in your Shabbat. We delight in your Shabbat. We delight in your Shabbat. In 6 days you painted the face of the earth and called out a day when you rest from your work. You brought forth a nation from Abraham and spared his son Yitzhak, providing the crown. We delight in your Shabbat. We delight in your Shabbat. The prophets foretold that Mashiach would come. Shema Yisrael, Yahuwah is one. And just as you rested when your work was done, we enter your rest by the work of your Son. We delight in your Shabbat. We delight in your Shabbat. The lilies and the sparrows feed. You Elohim provide all our need. Your people will enter your rest when we cry, Baruch haba B'Shem Yahuwah. We delight in your Shabbat. We delight in your Shabbat. Your people will enter your rest when we cry, Baruch haba B'Shem Yahuwah. Baruch haba B'Shem Yahuwah. Ruach Alo Hayam Umaleh Nafshi Hadrech otanu keyeladim Rak bachanu chapetzim Anachnu mazminim otcha לבוא ברוך הבא, ברוך הבא, רוח אלוהים, ברוך הבא, ברוך הבא, רוח אלוהים. Yahuwah, Yahuwah, Refuani, Yahuwah, Refuani, Yahuwah, Yahuwah. Listening to Yah, I get my music. Gazing at Yah, I get all His heat. Following Yah, I climb every mountain. I get excitement at your feet. Right behind Yah, I see His millions on Yah. I see true glory from Yah. I get my opinion from Yah. I get Besorah. Listening to Yah, I get my music. Gazing at Yah, I get His heat. Following I see true glory from Yah. I get my opinion from Yah. I get Besorah. Refuani, Yahuwah, Refuani, Yahuwah, Yahuwah. See me, feel me, touch me, heal me. See me, feel me, touch me, heal me. Refuani, Yahuwah, Refuani, Yahuwah, Shlach Ruachecha. Ruachecha bigufi. הנה לא ינום ולא יישן, לא ינום ולא יישן. הנה לא ינום ולא יישן, שומר הנה לא ינום ולא será. He that keepeth Israel, neither slumbers nor sleeps, never slumbers, nor does he sleep. He doesn't slumber, he doesn't sleep. The one who guards your strong, the one who guards your strong. He doesn't slumber, he doesn't sleep, doesn't slumber, and he doesn't sleep. He's the one who doesn't slumber, Yahuwah doesn't sleep. He guards his people, Yisrael. Shalom, shalom,
Hey, my OG, what's up, OG?
family. Let me get rid of that.
Copy.
It's a beautiful logo, but I do got to get rid of it.
Wait, I got to turn you up just a tiny bit. Sorry, I did not catch the last thing you just said.
No problem. I need to. This wonderful logo is beautiful, but I do need to remove it. All right, Apostle Peter.
There he is.
Shalom.
Shalom, my friend.
How are you, sir?
You today?
Yes, I'm fine. How's my sound? Good?
You sound fabulous. You sound
pristine.
Good. Nice microphone you got there.
I copy everything you do. You're my hero.
You are so awesome.
You are my hero.
Wow.
I copy everything you do.
We're here again at the gates.
Yes, we are.
Here we are at the gates, huh?
Shlichim at the gates.
That's right. That's right. Here we are again. And by the way, folks, we always love it when you send up questions or interact. So please feel free as we start talking about different topics, start writing those questions down. Shoot them up to us. We're happy to address them.
Absolutely. Hey, a couple of things. So March the 15th is our next meeting.
Yes.
Our next Alliance meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So for leaders, that's Sunday, March 15th.
Right.
And then it seems like a long way off, but it's not. We have the annual, hopefully our annual conference, right?
That's
hopefully.
Right.
And that'll be July. Well, I just took it off the screen. Somewhere around the
first week of July.
First week of July. I just took it off the screen.
Yep.
And that's going to be in beautiful Florida, and it's going to be on Amelia Island.
Amelia Island. Looking forward to it. Should be a great time.
Yeah.
I'm excited to
good
connect.
Teaching, good worship, good fellowship,
yes.
good food.
Yes. This is where we show, these are the kinds of things we got to do, guys, to show that we do not compete, we complete. And it's a very good demonstration, especially before the people, because one of the things they're commonly seeing is conflict. And they're seeing commonly people, the sort of the lesser of their better selves, if you will. They're not always in their best behavior. And so this is why I think it's very important that they see just the opposite of that, that they get to see people that do get along, that do walk together, And I think that demonstrates that it's possible, right? So then you can maybe start going, hey, wait a minute, I might need to connect with my brethren. So we need to be a good example, I think, anyway. Shaliak, what do you
Absolutely.
think?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Um, in some of those conferences, though, actually, it can work both ways.
Yeah, I can.
Because some of those conferences, you get a phony face, or sometimes you get your best face. So it kind of can work both ways. But
Well, that's human too, right?
if you're
Because we're
authentic,
all human.
you're authentic. You're basically the same all the time. Give me a sec. Keep talking. Give me a sec. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say we're human, and we all battle those same things, but I think authenticity is what we're all after, and that comes from authentic thought, authentic carrying oneself, even if you don't agree with them. If a person's walking genuinely, it's much easier to walk with that person than someone that's being duplicitous, right? So the double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So it's much
Right.
easier, at least, to walk with someone, even with people that you may not agree with,
Right.
but who walk by their convictions, who walk in authentic belief in what they believe. At least you can say, well, I respect that you walk your walk. Like you don't
That's,
just talk your talk, you
that's
walk
why I
your
love
walk.
walking with you, because
Right.
we're authentic New Yorkers.
Hey, come
Hey,
on. Bada bing, bada boom.
you being Italian, me being Puerto Rican. So we're
New Yorkers, by the way, are like
I'm
all
a Jew
comics.
Rican.
We're all comedians, every one of us.
Did you know I was a Jew Rican?
Huh? You're a
Did you know
Jew Rican?
I was
Hey,
a
did
Jew
you know
Rican?
I used to live next to the Greenbergs? Me and the Greenbergs, we were right next to each other. I tell you
I got
what.
you beat. I got you beat. I used to live next to the icebergs.
I tell you what, I never realized how much of Jewish neighborhoods I used to live in until I looked back and went, man, everybody in my neighborhood was.
You know what the first thing I said to my wife when we got married? Oh, you're so Jewish.
You better watch out with Rivka. She's in charge of all things proper.
I gotta watch. I got two eyes for two reasons.
She's in charge of all things proper, buddy. Better watch
Oh,
out.
Speaking, because you said earlier, people disagree or see things differently. I'm glad. I'm kind of glad you mentioned that, because I asked you your permission if it was okay for me to throw something at you
Oh yeah.
that you are totally unprepared for.
I know. I'm still waiting to see what it is, guys. So we're all gonna find out together.
That, to be honest with you, I'm totally unprepared for. Right.
Okay.
To be further honest with you, something that I've never studied before.
Okay.
So not only am I going to hit you blindside, I'm going to hit myself blindside.
Well, at least you're in there with me, bro.
Because
At least
honestly,
I'm
I'm going to bring something up, okay? But I have no idea how it's going to turn out. Not only that, I don't know how I feel.
okay.
So actually, to
That's
be
fair.
honest and humble, excuse me. To be honest and humble's kind of the same thing as humble, right? Kind of the same thing. I'm going to ask your opinion. How does that sound?
Fair.
Okay, so we know, first I need an affirmative. We know and we understand that Yahusha's abiding presence is here for forever. But
Amen.
officially, the end of one age came, and the new heavens and the new earth came in 70 AD. Are we in
Right.
basic concordance? Right?
Correct. So far, so good.
Okay. So we're in basic concordance. Okay.
Yes.
Now, if that's true, then what do we do? And again, I have yet to form my opinion or / doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
What do we do with Matthew 28, verse 20? For example, this is just one of many examples. Lo, I am with you go and preach and baptize them in the name of the Father, Son, and Spirit, which is one name.
Mm-hmm.
And lo, I am with you until the end of the age. So part of the Great Commission is to baptize,
Mm-hmm.
right? In the name of the Father, Son, and Spirit, which is Yahusha, right? We know the
Right.
baptism in the name Yahusha. Until the end of the age, lo, I am with you to the end of the age. So if the age ended in 70 AD,
Mhm.
what would be the justification for continuing mikvah?
Great question. Is that it? Is that the total question?
No, that's part one.
Oh, that's part one of the question.
That's part one.
Well, that's actually funny that you should bring that up because my first question I was going to say that we needed to address is when is Passover? Of course, we always have to tell people when Passover is because we always have to set the beginning of the new year. But why do we still keep this feast? And so I thought it's interesting that we had already intersected in the Ruach a little
Oh,
bit.
the second one is all about Passover.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
let's
All
tackle
right.
this one.
So what your question is, do I need to answer them in parts or can I just wait until the second part?
No, be so kind and do this part.
Okay. So your question is, why do we still keep this?
No,
Why?
the question
No.
is if Yahusha returned
Right.
in 70 AD and we're under a new heaven and earth, he said, I am with you. He
Right.
said, make disciples, teaching them what I have commanded you, and
Right.
lo, I am with you to the end of the age. Does that
Right.
mean that baptism stops at the end of the age because he's with us to the end of the age? Does that mean that baptism stops, or is that something that continues?
Well, the inference would be if you were to say it were to stop. So let's look at both sides. If you were the inference you would be making is that this is no longer necessary, it's no longer required, and the situation has changed. That's absolutely the opposite of the reality. The reality is that because he kept his word and because he kept every promise, now more than ever you need you're reaffirming the correct method. So he's reaffirming by the snatching away of the faithful, by the redemption, by the parousia, he's confirmed that his word is yea and amen. So the correct method was affirmed, not disbanded once completed by one group. No, it was proven to be the correct method, despite persecution, despite everything they went through. They needed to do these certain things. That is what's passed on to us post that event. So saying that baptism's no longer required is like saying prayer is outlaw or no longer relevant
Or to
anymore.
be consistent, the Great Commission.
All of that, because
It's the
again,
same verse. It's the same
what
verse.
you're realizing is that though what the scripture's completion signals to you is that this cycle is never going to end ever. You will always. He said, how long did he say you'd have the poor with you? Go ahead, everybody. How long? Did he say
Yeah.
you'd have the poor with you?
Right.
How long?
Yeah.
How long?
Leolam Vaad.
He said, the poor you will have with you always.
Yeah.
And you can do good to them whenever you wish.
That's right.
Wow.
Okay, but I looked up that word, lo, I am with you to the end of the age.
Mhm.
Okay, 2 points. If baptism stops at the end of the Adamic Mosaic age, again, not Torah, but approach, then by definition, that is part of the Great Commission, right?
Yeah, if
So
you
that
were to
by
say that.
definition, the Great Commission would also have to stop
Yeah, if you were to say that, sure.
at the end of the Mosaic or Adamic age, correct?
Yeah, but that logic doesn't hold.
Doesn't hold.
Mm-mm.
In other words, if baptism stops, like some preterists claim,
Right.
then
That's
so does the
ridiculous.
Great Commission.
Yes, that's ridiculous.
Because it's this, but it's the same. It's part of the.
What would have been the point? I mean, he just confirmed all this, and then now you're saying it's no longer. I mean,
But
that's
I'm bringing
ridiculous.
that up. I'm bringing that up because that's a prevalent view among
Oh,
some.
okay. I didn't
Not
know that.
us, not us, but full
Okay.
preterists. And I swim
Okay,
in
got
2
it.
pools.
I'm catching up now.
I swim in 2 pools. I swim in
Got
the.
it. Got it.
Nasser
I didn't know
Ring.
that. I didn't hang out with those folks, so I didn't know that that was the case. If that's the case, then we absolutely should address that.
I swim in the Nassarim pool, and I also swim in the full preterist pool. Now, but I'm doing fishing there too. Don't think I'm there to be brainwashed. I'm there to chew the meat and spit out the bones. But let's get back
Okay.
to Matthew. Let's get back to Matthew 28:18-20.
Mhm.
So, go into all nations, make disciples of all
Right.
nations, teaching them whatever I have taught you, which is Torah.
Right.
And baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and Spirit. Some ancient manuscripts don't include Father, Son, and Spirit, just in
Right.
the name of
Right.
Yahusha. And lo, I am with you to the end of the age. So this is interesting. I already got your answer, and I appreciate that. I looked up the word age, and in the Greek it is ainos, ainos, which is interesting, which can either mean the end of a period, which in that
Mhm.
case, no more baptism and no more Great Commission, because now we're just enjoying his presence. In other words, you're out of luck. If you're in, you're in. If you're not in, you're not in, which I reject. Or
Right.
the word "ainos" can mean the messianic age, right? So
Mhm.
it could either mean the end of an age, or it could ever mean the messianic age. Now, the messianic age is an eternal age. When will the end of the messianic age be? Never. So if this word "ainos" is understood to mean the messianic age, that means baptism and the Great Commission will have no end, right? Because when did the
Right.
messianic age begin? In 70 AD.
Right. And it has no end.
And because it's ainos, it's the messianic age of his government, there shall be
No end.
no end, which means it answers itself. The
But it
Great
does
Commission.
answer itself.
But that's what
And you see the continuous rebuke of the nations. You will see it in every century. If you go back historically, I was having a discussion yesterday about the 1600s and 1500s. Many people, because they're disconnected from their past, because they're disconnected from history, a historical timeline, they've lost certain facts along the way, and as a result, they lost the plot. And when you lose the plot, okay, if you lose the plot, sometimes you think something's in front of you that's actually behind you because you lost the plot. You go for popcorn, come back, you forget where you are in the movie. Okay, well, many of people went for popcorn historically and did not realize things that occurred in every century. And we have yet to have a century that did not have the same cycle. I'm not kidding. Go back and look. There's yet to be a century that did not have major corrections in it that took an
right.
entire generation through a ringer. And it's and they're all thinking, the same thoughts like the Millerites. They're all every generation has them. They had them in the 1600s. They were going berserk in the 1600s over certain things. In the 1500s, they went berserk. That was Martin Luther's era, and that was nuts. The 1400s also nuts. Again, it depends on how you look, and if you look back, you realize that this has been going on a cycle ever since. So
Right.
we're on a continuous cycle right now. I mean, we
Right.
got
And then
melted buildings everywhere. Nobody knows that Peter already occurred.
I never had the answer. Yeah. So the thing is getting back to ainos. So it could either mean the end, as in the end of the Adamic Mosaic age, or it could mean the end, the messianic age, or eternity. And of course, we know that this age, the new heavens and the new earth, thankfully we're in the new heavens and the new earth. When will this age end? Never. It'll just be,
Never.
like you said, repeating cycles.
Repeating
Yahuwah's
cycles.
presence with us. We
Mhm.
with him, he with us. So this is an ongoing, the Parousia is not just a 24-hour
Yes.
event where he returned. The Parousia is the king returned exactly within the timeline and the timestamp that he said, but, or plus, I'm here to stay. And lo, I am with you as you are my temple till the end of the age. And that's
And
the
many people thought that.
ongoing presence of the king. So the answer to that question is baptism is never going to end. Everybody who
Never.
comes into the kingdom must get in the water, right?
You must meet Alua Hayam in the water.
And then we'll get into Pesach in a second. And neither will the Great Commission ever
No.
end, because that would negate the perpetuity of Ephesians chapter 4 and the fivefold offices, right?
Well, there does appear to be an expiration on the fivefold, and that is till we come to the unity of the faith. And if anybody can tell me when that occurred, if you think it occurred because you put a book together,
Yeah.
Which I've heard, like the Baptists have said that, and others have said that. I'm
Yeah.
like, you're
Should I
absolutely
laugh
not.
an hour later? Should I
Well,
laugh
that's
an hour?
totally ridiculous, right? And
Ridiculous.
so, and I think that is now, that notion was tested and found to be flawed. Techie, what's that? Mene Ufarsin.
Mene, mene, teke, upharsin.
Many teke ufarsin. You were weighed and measured and found wanting. You know, that
Daniel
whole
5.
thought process did not measure up. So what are we really seeing? We're seeing it in every generation. We're seeing it like it's the last century over and over again. Like we're on a repeat loop. And we're going to go through the same antichrist persecutions, and we're going to go through the same attacks on our faith. We're going to go through the same isolations and the same gauntlet, the same obstacle course, just in your generation, but same one. And you got to pass the same way they passed back then. Go ahead, brother.
There's two entities that refuse to change, Yahuwah and Satan. They refuse to change. And guess who's going to win that battle?
Right.
And P.S. regarding unity, that to me, that's a joke. There's only one ministry. Now, hear what I'm saying. There's only one ministry team that I know that has come into maturity, perfect unity. You know who that is? The Father, Son, and Spirit. The rest of us have to learn to stop competing and stop arguing over crumbs and sit at the table and agree on the majors. Like Augustine said, in all things charity, on the majors major, on the minors who cares, but in all things charity. And we got to learn that. And I've got to learn that. We all got to learn that.
Well, I think you know what you're saying is pick your fights, and that, you know, picking your fights between your brethren aren't wise. It's usually wiser to pick your fights among your enemies. And I mean, let's face it, we need one another. We need our allies together. And we've all seen the price tag of unreconciled differences. How many can tell by just looking and say, you know, we would have been better off together here, on how many situations in the last, say, 10 years that you've watched the body in whatever group you were in or whatever part you were in, you all watched the same things. I don't need to know the details. I don't, because I was in the Ruach with you all. Okay, I was with you in the Ruach and I felt it. I can feel the constancy of the debating. This is the remnant or the residual afterglow of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It continues to reverberate through sin in the human condition. And this continues to be justified because, again, of that competitive thing. So we're coming out of it, but yes, you're right. Mature, we're all rebuked before the throne. Everybody is.
Right.
That's where we're united, is we're all embarrassed by our
You know why I'm on Facebook? Because people say, how can you be on Facebook or social media without debating? Watch. You know why Shaliach Moshe Yosef Kanachowski is on Facebook? I'm there to instruct.
Yep.
I'm there to rebuke.
Yep.
I'm there to fish.
Yep.
And I'm there to correct.
Yep.
Now, it may seem to you like I'm debating, but I know exactly why I'm there. I know exactly why I'm there. When I'm on Facebook, let me repeat, it's to do what 2 Timothy commands us to do, chapter 2. Instruct, rebuke, fish, and correct.
And I'm never thrilled about, you know, we don't run towards those things, but we do them because we're required to do them.
Well, it's a pleasure to instruct, to correct, to fish.
Sometimes it's a pleasure.
As long as you don't get into the debate mentality.
Competitiveness is my number one thing. I really, really do not like competitiveness. And I mean it very sincerely. Like, I really don't like it.
That's why it's a miracle you and I like each other.
Wow. I refuse to compete with you.
I come from a competitive background.
You know, I refuse to compete with you. I already saw that.
Softball, roller derby.
I'll just let you win. Okay, you win.
But I don't like that.
You're like, doggone it, I want to play something. Yeah, well, you know, and again, we took this.
It was so bad with me, Peter, please let me confess. It was so bad with me, right? That when I was younger and someone beat me in sports, I would either go home, like they say, okay, let's hang out and get a pizza. I said, no, it's all right. I'd either go home or I would sit there and mope and get inward and nasty. Now, I did outgrow some of that. I got to admit that. I did outgrow some of that.
But good for you to admit it, though.
always. That's why it's a miracle that you
He's
and I
like,
get
look, I gotta
along.
admit this. It's not my biggest moments.
No, it's got to be the ruach that you and I get along. It's got to be the ruach.
I don't know. I think that this new black darker background makes me look like I'm sitting in a confessional sometimes or something, and he just
Oh, I
likes
love it. It's beautiful.
he has to come and say, "Okay, I gotta tell you what I did."
See, we're not competing. I got a black background, and you do too. So, which brings me to the second question. And again, I come as a humble or humble student, chocolate, and aunt. So here's a more difficult question. Let me take you to the exact verse, and I mean this with all sincerity.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to test you. I'm not trying to
Don't mind.
one up you or anything of that matter. I just would like to know
I
something.
don't mind being one upped. I get better too. So if you guys want to one up me, by all means, do so. I'm
All
proud
right.
of you when you do. I'm rooting for you.
Gotcha. So in 1 Corinthians, that's a healthy
Let me
attitude.
drink the death of Yahuwah to proclaim until that he should come. Amen. Okay.
Okay. So 1 Corinthians 11:26 says,
Right.
talking about Pesach. Now we can segue right into Pesach.
Oh, okay. Got you.
So as often as you may eat the bread,
Okay.
this bread and this cup drink that you may drink,
Mhm.
the death of Yahusha, master, Kurios,
Mhm.
master, you proclaim, watch this, until he that should come comes, until he comes. The word there is LT, which literally means until he is to come.
Or
Now,
arise. Yeah.
if we believe, and I do with all my heart, soul, and strength, I don't believe in 59 Perusias. I believe in one, but I believe it was for the entire age. And that now that he's here, he's here. It says you take the Pesach,
Right.
or what the Christians would call communion,
Mhm.
on a regular basis until that word "until" has a definite end. There's a definite duration, and the duration when you stop taking communion, or in our case, celebrating Pesach, stops when he that should come will come. That's a toughie.
That's a really easy one for me.
It may not be tough for some folks, but there are some folks who are really pondering that. I'm not, but I do want to get your opinion. I do want to get your opinion.
Key thing there. If you can put the passage back up, or just put the passage up. Well, it doesn't matter. You can put that screen back up. That'll be fine. So key thing here, guys, you look at this passage and you're going to get some Sholiak level review, right? So you're going to get to see a little bit on the inside of how things unpack and what have you. So scroll that up just a little bit, my brother, so I get the beginning of the verse. Because you're starting, yeah, that right there. Great. Okay. And it says, as often as, for if you may eat this, the bread, this, and of course, it's speaking, of course, about the Passover observation. Now, what is the key word in all of this passage? Who wants to tell me what the key word is? Well, I'll tell you because I'm on a broadcast and you guys can't really interact with me, but I'm going to just pretend we're talking. And you say, well, I don't know, Peter. I don't know what the key word is. I mean, there's a lot of key words in here. Well, I would suggest to you that the key word in this passage is the word you. You is the key word in this passage because we need to define you. We do. As a matter of fact, I was just working on this yesterday. It's so coincidental. This couldn't be possibly coincidental. That particular word was a coding word that I had to use for certain things. And so I had to spend some time on the word you yesterday. So it's interesting that you bring this up because who is the you he is speaking of? So when you have a you in the passage, we have to define that. We can't presume arrogantly that he's talking to us because we weren't there. So first of all, we do not qualify for the local and immediate crowd that he was in fact speaking to. So first of all, we must admit that we do not qualify as first tier listeners to this message. Once again, we do not qualify as first tier listeners to this message. We are reading a message that was written a long time ago. So the presumption, which is very self-centered, that all of this was just for you, ignoring 19 other centuries and all kinds of things, is hubris on steroids, in my opinion. Now, what you have here in the key passage, or in the key to this passage, again, you identifies the people that he has already made his promise to and plans to complete. So he did, in fact, do that. Now, he said to us, the Jew first, then the Gentile, right? Which was sequential. So one could argue that he did the Jew first, and now we're on to the Gentile. One could argue that. One could also argue that they were both done at that point, and therefore the rest of this is just residual afterglow. Makes no difference, guys. And here's why. It doesn't matter that you wake up the remnant person first, the true Natsarim, the true Zedok, who was asleep in 1800s or 1900s or 2000 and got awakened. What does he do? Jew and Gentile. So it repeats regardless. And it's always the you that he appears to, the you that he connects with in every generation. And you'll find them. You'll suddenly see people had visions and dreams and things where he appears or he interacts with them, and then he commissions them, and then he sends them out, and they do extraordinary things in every generation, in every century. And they'll all tell you the same stories about him appearing or about him talking to them, or about visions and dreams and words and things. What's he doing? He's resetting the cycle again. He's doing it again, sending his sent ones, going through the process again. And once again, there's a new group called you. There's a new group called you. I said there's a new group called you, and you don't know which group he's talking to because you don't know if the you is yous, guys, or not. And everybody presumes to their own best interest. I'm going to say that one more time because that is a clear indication of self-centeredness. You presume to your own best interest. Your presumption should be the opposite. Your presumption should always be first and foremost, you're not, and you need to come in rather than I'm good and I have to need nothing. It's much wiser to say, what am I missing? And examine oneself than to assume yourself already done and not be examining. Much wiser to be examining by leaps and by orders of magnitude. So the key here is the word you, in my opinion. Who's he talking to? Why is he talking to them? And what's he indicating to them? He's telling them that the Messianic, or the Mosaic age, the age that we just witnessed conclude, is what's coming to a conclusion. So you the use guys, who's in this situation, for use guys, okay, you're the you that are going to experience certain things. There's going to be new use guys, and they're going to experience other things. So we always have to be very focused on what the parameters of his word were. That's my answer. And it's pretty clear here that he's talking about till the death, may drink the death of Yahuwah, to proclaim until that which is to come comes. Who are these people that are holding fast in this process? Well, these are the people that were the only ones who were keeping his ways in that era. That was it. They were it, and there weren't that many.
Okay, but
and they got nearly wiped out. That's how many. That's how definite it was, the persecution.
But I don't
so go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm following you. The part that I'm wondering about, and I know I have my views, but you show forth the death of the master, you proclaim it until he comes. So what do we do with the fact that he returned in 70 AD? Does that mean we no longer do this? The until is a very definite time period, right? It's a very definite time period. Or what else could it mean? Could it mean I heard your explanation, and I
But
understand
again, who's he talking to? So he's
you.
talking to people who, when that moment occurs, right? So remember the time when this is written.
Mhm.
He's telling them, he says, you do this until, like, do not stop. Keep going all the way until you're removed, right? So inferring from that language that that's the end of it is like saying,
Oh, I got
keep
you.
rowing until you get to the other side, meaning rowing is you're now done rowing ever in the world because you got to the other side.
You're
There was a context to that. Go ahead.
so you're saying it's an admonition for the
Yes.
Talmidim not
Yes.
to stop Pesach
Yes. Yes.
just because he's coming. In other words,
Right.
until he comes. In other words, you don't stop until he comes, and then once he comes, you keep on doing what you've always doing. In other words, that's your understanding that you keep
Well, think
on.
of it as a method. Think of it in terms of the approved method. He just confirmed the approved pathway. He just showed you by removing those, by giving them their blessed hope. He just showed you that that was the right way. So now the right way was confirmed. To me, that says, and it's just my
In
thoughts.
other words, don't stop. That
Yeah,
basically
I mean,
says don't
he just
stop.
confirmed it. He just stamped it with the biggest stamp of approval you could possibly have.
But if we look at that word until, we might see something with a finite, a
Right.
definite finite ending. So
Well,
the contra-wise argument can say the problem with the 70 AD doctrine is it can cause someone to stop keeping the Moadim and Passover because until means a definite ending point. If I say to you, Peter, go shopping until
Mhm.
6, which by definite command, not implication, means you need to be home by 6. So that's my
Not because there's no
concern.
more time after 6,
Right,
but because you've set a definite time for the regathering.
right. There's an assumption there that there's no more time
Right.
after he comes when you are expected to do that. And therefore, you have to go to, don't you agree, that you
Yes.
have to go to Exodus 12, which means you do it from all your dwellings, in all your generations.
Yes. And this has happened already several times.
So you can't
So
just build 1 second. You can't just build a house or a doctrine on 70 AD and 1 Corinthians 11:26. You have to consult it with the foundation in all your generations, in all your dwellings. Correct?
the presumption that the foundation is somehow removed and yet you continue is ludicrous on its face. The fact is that the foundation establishes a building pattern. It is because the cornerstone is set correctly that the rest of the building will be in order. So to
Correct.
remove the foundations that we received, the example of those who endured to the end, we are called to be an example unto the flock. What would be the point of the examplehood if that example is moot and irrelevant after a certain point?
This is
That
where
would be nothing.
this is right. This is where I depart from some of the full preterists who are not Torah keepers. They use statements like 1 Corinthians 11:26 to say the Mosaic age ended, so all the eternal things are no longer eternal. But if you remove the foundation of anything, you have nothing left. So the foundation of our faith is the rock. It's Yahusha, right? If you remove the rock, what do you have left? Peter, Paul, and Mary, Simon and Garfunkel. You got to build everything on the rock.
No, it's.
I'm not bringing correction. Excuse me. I'm not bringing correction to our Nazarene brethren. I'm figuring they keep Torah. They would never let 1 Corinthians 11:26 or a misapplication of 1 Corinthians 11:26 dissuade them from the eternal things of Torah. But my friends in the preterist community, they will think we are Judaizers. They will think we're legalists, and I know that's not your concern. I'm just trying to make sure none of this stuff comes into our camp. Does that make any sense?
Yes, and I think that
I don't want this stuff in our camp.
I think SA10 is a legalist. I think that the enemy utilizes that word to push people away from the Torah and the commandments. The fact is, that's like saying, oh, you're a legalist when someone's suing you and they don't want you to get an attorney, but they want to have an attorney, but they don't want you to have one. right?
Yeah.
Because they want to call you a legalist because
While
you're giving
themselves,
it.
while they
But
themselves are.
they got one for themselves though, right? So they want to shame you, but not. That's ridiculous. Second thing is that I think one of the biggest things that you find is that a lot of people study about our family but don't join our family. I'm going to say that one more time. A lot of people study about our family and enjoy certain things about our family, but do not actually join our family. This is those who are without, who are weeping and gnashing of teeth, who are without our dogs, because everything was without. And the key was without. That was the key word. You didn't, and the people that don't pick it up, don't pick it up. But everything about the gospel is, and everything he said from Genesis all the way to Revelation is all about your internal. It's all about where the kingdom of Eloah Hayam actually is. What is his domain? Are you his domain? And the fact is that what you find is most people are looking for external inputs. They need somebody to tell them what to do. They need somebody to tell them what's right and wrong because they have no internal anything going on. And that is pure religion, folks. That's mimicry. That's mimicking the authentic by copying them rather than actually arriving at anything on their own. So he told us to keep his commandments. What part of that didn't we get? I don't know. Apparently, preterists, I didn't know this, but apparently preterists assume that they're going to be accepted in the beloved without keeping his commandments. That wasn't the example that was demonstrated. So we have no examples anywhere that is acceptable. We have no examples according to the scripture. That's what we're all called to be. The fivefold called to be examples. And so what you're suggesting is that we arrived at the end of that examplehood and we learned nothing. That's what we're suggesting. That they did all these things. They kept the commandments. They kept the feasts. They kept these things as examples to the flock, and we didn't learn nothing. What could go wrong?
Look at this. I mean, yeah, really. Look at this.
What could go wrong?
Look at Revelation 22, 14, and 15.
I would suggest, by the way, one more last thing I want to just say before he brings this up, that if he's already demonstrated that he will, in fact, go with his people, the ones he designates, to the end of an age, he's already demonstrated that he is that kind of savior, right? You think he stopped being a go to the end of the age person? Just stopped? He doesn't do that anymore? Not that kind of person anymore? Just thought I'd throw that out there. Go ahead. He stayed the same. He's still with you to the end. He demonstrated that to his people so that the rest of you would go, oh, he does that. When he says that, he means it.
Okay. Yeah, look at that's right. That's right. Look at Revelation 22, 14, and 15. So this is the New Jerusalem. That's the kingdom.
Right.
That is the age we're in now. It began in 70 AD. We're in the Messianic age. There is no end. We're in the New Jerusalem because of the blood of Yahusha. Outside are dogs, and then it tells you exactly who these dogs are. Watch.
Right. Dogs is a metaphor. That's very good.
Blessed are they who do his commandments.
Yes.
That they may have a right to the tree of life and may enter through the gates of the New Jerusalem, because outside, so are the dogs, the sorcerers, the whoremongers, the murderers, the idolaters, and the liars are believers, can include believers in Yahusha who do what? Who are cursed because what? They do not do his commandments. So
that's right.
You see, you can't just take 1 Corinthians 11:26 and then say, look, we do the Pesach, but once Yahusha returns, when Mashiach returns, we know that to be in 70 AD. We don't do it anymore because of the Greek word achri, which means until. Okay? But what you're saying, and you help me to understand this here, what you're saying is, he's telling those that are alive in his generation, don't stop doing it just because Messiah came the first time or the second time. In other words, keep doing it until he comes. And then when he comes, Revelation 22, 14 through 16, if you ever stop doing it, if you ever stop doing it, do it until he comes. P.S. If you ever stop doing it, you're not going to get in. You're going to be with the sorcerers and the idolaters. See how you can't just take a text, take it out of context, and develop a pretext. You hit the nail on the head when Apostle Peter, when you said he's telling them to keep on keeping on. That's more like an encouragement. It's like, Peter, don't quit. You're reaching a lot of people, social media, what you're doing with patents, don't quit. In other words, keep doing what you're doing till the end. In other words,
Right.
that doesn't mean after the end that these things don't continue. So we can take a text out of
Yes,
context.
that's the point I'm about to make. You just hit it.
You hit it. You already made it. You made it clear. That see that helped me, because if I'm wondering these things, and I'm just going to tell you straight out, there are at least 2 or 3 Nazarenes. Listen to what I'm saying. This is important. There are at least 2 or 3 Nazarenes that have stopped doing Torah. Now it's my problem. See, it was formerly a full preterist problem. Now it's my problem.
Now it's your problem. Well, can I comment on that if you don't mind?
No, sure.
So if you get told by your friend, hey, you want to make some butter? No problem. See, here's what you got to do, and you got to keep churning until you get the butter. Right? Keep churning until you get the butter. And then when you see the clumps, then you know you can stop churning. Does that mean all churning is over because one person arrived at butter? No. It just means that that's the recipe to arrive at butter, is you do this until. Okay? So just keep that in mind.
So you don't lose the recipe. You don't lose
right.
the way to please him,
exactly
the way to serve him, the way to please him. So in other words, you don't have amnesia like James talks about. He says when we look into the perfect law of liberty, or the Torah, we remember what kind of man we used to be. In other words, our fathers were Israel. We remember that. See?
But if I say to you, pray until your prayer is answered, right? Pray until your prayer is answered. And I say that to you. And so you say, all right, I'm going to pray until my prayer is answered. Does that mean I'm never going to pray again? Because that's it. My prayer of that particular moment was answered. No, the context of that comment also matters, right?
Excellent.
So if he's talking about the contextual prayer that you're praying at the moment, doesn't mean prayer as a general topic is now gone. It just means you're going to keep praying until something happens. That's called push, right? My grandparents taught me this. So until means until you see certain things. That's not the end of everything. And so to assume that, what he's saying here is, oh, well, until you see this, yes, because what you did worked. It worked. Just, like stay faithful until he rescues you does not mean he's done rescuing. It means he rescued you. You, the people that did what he told you.
Excellent point. In other words, pray, keep praying until Yahusha comes. Because
I'll give it to you another way.
That's the heart of the believer. Now, when Yahusha comes, do we stop praying? No.
He's obligated himself, believe it or not, to, in every generation, open the door to wise virgins. Every generation. Yeah, because you can't do it for one and not do it for another. You use one as an example to all other generations. And how long did he tell us to keep the commandments? Until Parousia? Is that what he said? No, he said in all your generations. He never gave us an end. So there are certain things he gave us no end to. And those things aren't debated. So they're continued in heaven.
Go ahead.
The commandments to keep certain dates and certain things are not just earth. Okay, there are windows of heaven. So you're seeing into the Shamayim, you're reflecting what's already happening up there. That's why the timing is so important, because the correct time puts you in the correct window, and you don't consecrate the abominable day and desecrate the Kadosh day.
And therefore,
go ahead.
And therefore, the correct interpretation of Matthew 28, verse 20, the term ainos is not just age, but it's into the eternal messianic age. Because the messianic age, when does the messianic age end? Never. There you go. So that's the correct interpretation. Not
he will rule forever.
Not 70 AD age. See, there's 2 ways to tackle Matthew 28:20. The first way is to the end of the Adamic Mosaic age. The other way is to say no until
whichever way lends to your laziness
is not the way.
That's not the right one.
That's not the way.
Whichever one lends and tends to your flesh, wrong one. whichever one tends towards making you sit down and think you're all good, put your feet up and put your hands behind your head, that's the wrong doctrine. Just setting you up. I mean,
Come on.
just automatic, man. Just to let you know, our king, you were all one day you would have felt it was leg day. You would have been like, man, it was leg day today. Yeah, it was leg day. He goes up and down hills, and you want to be his disciple, you better get to stepping. Whatever
And
was lazy and easy, definitely not
And
him.
that goes right along with James 1:22. Be ye doers. He's talking to the 12 tribes in the New
Yeah.
Testament, in the new heavens, in the new earth, in the new kingdom. This is not under the law, the Judaizers being coming around my door. No. He says, Yaakov to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. Be ye doers of the word. The only word the Jews or the 12 tribes ever knew were the mitzvot, the commandments.
That's right. Be commandment
doers,
people.
be ye doers of the word, lest what? You have the worst kind of deception, which is self-deception.
One of the greatest things that we've
Doers
all
of the
fallen for
word.
is just that.
What is self-deception? Fake. That's a nice King James way of saying fake.
Completely fake.
But
Or performance.
Apostle Peter, we just read that in
Yep.
Revelation 22:14 through 16. See, people like to talk about outsider dogs, liars, sorcerers, but then it tells you why. Because they talk, but they don't do
Thank you.
the commandments. So if we I'm skilled enough in the word, as you are and anybody in our position, and we take 1 Corinthians 11:26. I can get you to stop doing Pesach in 20 minutes. I can get you to stop doing Shavuot in 15 minutes. I can get you to stop doing the Chag Sukkot in 4
Right.
minutes. But I'm going to be held accountable. That's why James 3:1 says, not many be teachers, because you're going to mess a lot of people up.
Oh, you got slaves and people who are themselves completely up to here in debt, telling everyone, yo, you don't have to tithe. And they're the example that you get to use. Go look at them. Oh, you don't have to honor him.
Mockers.
That's all over. Oh, okay.
They're mockers.
Let's take
They're
a look
not
at the
leaders.
result.
They're mockers. They're mockers.
Well, here's the thing, guys. That what you all have to learn to become is wisdom is justified in your children, right? So if you're chasing wisdom, right? Wisdom is the tree of life. Okay, you want the tree of life? Drop this right, wrong thing completely. Drop it. Drop it where you found it. Okay. Only one can wield the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Only one. And that was his point. You try to sit in his seat, you die. He's the only one that can ferret between good and evil.
Amalek, you put your hand on Yahuwah's throne.
Don't you dare touch that.
Exodus 17.
Instead, your job is to pursue wisdom. And wisdom is conflict free. Wisdom is a peacemaker. Wisdom is looking for peace. Wisdom's not looking for conflict or who's right and wrong. That wisdom already knows that's a fool's errand.
Mm.
Okay?
And it is an attack on Yahuwah's sovereignty as well.
Yes, it's a waste of our time. Let's look at your results. You want to talk? Be an example. I'm going to look at your results, and I better be impressed.
But that's what I was talking about before when I was talking about, it says that the fivefold offices are until we all come into maturity. The only ministry team that I know that has arrived that can handle tree of knowledge and good and evil is the sovereign. The Father, Son, and Spirit are in perfect unity. So their ministry, that's why their ministry is so effective.
That's a great way to put that. Great way to put that. And where are the angels? Weren't they supposed to preach? And we see that in the book of Revelation too. Where are the angels at?
Oh, but remind me. Listen, let me tell you. Before we sign off, we're not near signing off because I got a lot of air in me, and you got a lot of air in you. But so don't hope that we're not signing off anytime soon. But
you better get those questions going, folks.
But before we sign off, and I got to tell you this, I was listening to you. First of all, I vote for Jed being on future shows because I don't know. Like I told you before, I don't know him as well as you do. But there's something about him that intrigues me. Like he thinks on different planes. So I'd like to see him.
He definitely built different. I
would like to see him more often. Number one.
I think so too. That was great. That was great yesterday. You enjoyed that.
I enjoyed that. Yes. And David actually was better with Jeff there. I don't understand.
I think so too. It worked great.
I don't understand that one. I don't understand that one either. But David sounded better. So anyway, but what I do want you to address, be so kind. is you said we better learn, and you said it at least once or twice. You said we better learn how to command angels
Yes.
because that's an integral part. They're ministering spirits who are
Right.
sent forth to minister to
And
those
judge them if you don't command them.
who are heirs of salvation.
Right.
If you can expound on that a little bit later, if you remember, why is that something the average believer or the garden variety believer, which is kind of like an oxymoron, but the garden variety believer should learn how to command angels? Because at first glance, that seems like the sovereign domain of the King of Kings, and that's an encroachment upon his domain. So hold it if you can, because we want to talk Pesach. But I'm very intrigued by that because I've heard both sides of the coin.
Just
You know what
ask
I
me
mean?
again. I'll put a quarter in me. I'll happily answer that.
Yeah.
But let's finish up on Pesach because it's important. One of the things that I want to say, if I may, and I say this on behalf of Sholiak as well.
If you may, you own the broad. What do you mean? If you own the broad?
If I may, I want to say this one
I'm
thing.
a renter. I'm a renter.
You do not show up just because you have the address of someone's party and just show up. Okay, so even our normal behavior, our normal gatherings, like a 4th of July or something, we all know this. We all have a lot of decorum, right? And if you are showing up for some place that you normally are not part of, in other words, it's not your house, you're visiting, you're coming, do you show up empty-handed?
No.
No. Why? Because you know you're a guest and you're coming and you're being invited to something special, and you know everybody's coming together, so you bring something to show respect for the house. At least that's the way I was raised. I don't know how the rest of you were raised.
Absolutely.
So here's my question: are you, because all the dewdrop in people need to be rebuked right now beforehand, because there's you're not allowed to dewdrop in on Shabbat or on Shabbat or Passover for that matter. A Pesach especially, and it's a presumption that people have that, oh, you're a ministry and oh, you're holding a Pesach, oh, we're gonna come. I don't know you. We're not in relationship. How dare you invite yourself to my gate? And how dare you, on top of that, come empty-handed? So double insult. You not only showed up unannounced at my gate, but you also expected me to feed you.
Come on.
And you're not, I mean, this is not your starving immigrant from
Guadalupe,
you know, that's walking here with no shoes. And that's a different.
Exacto.
We have compassion for people that need our help. That's not the point. Respect. And who want to just show up entitled. Okay, we will rebuke you and we will send you packing. Dude, I don't care how far you drove. I don't care how long you came. I'm not kidding. Don't play me.
You got to be invited.
I'm be very, very straight with you, because I don't want people to make presumptions because we are here holding a Passover with our family that you're entitled. No, you need to call, you need to connect, you need to participate, you need to join a house, be part of a house. If you're sitting there thinking Passover is valuable, what about the rest of the year? How would you like it if somebody says, listen, I don't really want to be your friend, but I love your pool parties, and so I'm just going to drop in on your pool parties, but we're not friends or anything. We're not in relationship.
Peter, you are
the best pool parties I've ever been to, so that I'm coming to.
You are preaching.
But the rest of the year, I don't want to know you.
You are preaching to the choir. You do not know.
I know I am.
How many times in the last 5 years, since I got a hold of the principle that you're talking about, I turned away people. People say, I'd like to come for Passover. No, I'm sorry. We got to get to know you. Well, we live in Georgia. We're only about an hour away. We believe what you believe. We love you. We see you on YouTube. I'm sorry. I got to get to know you. I have not accepted a single person that I don't know in the last 5 years. Now, having said that, I used to accept everybody. And Yahuwah have mercy. The mess that I created by trying to be merciful in the name of mercy, false mercy, fake mercy, emotional mercy.
Fake mercy.
I had one lady here for Sukkot that I was told I couldn't say no to because she followed our ministry online, but I didn't know her. So I said yes. Make a long story short, she spent 3 days out of 7. She was here for 7 days for Sukkot, trying to convince my wife, Mariamni, that she was being held captive by a man who abused women. And Mariamni was crying because the Ruach was all over her. She was touched. She was touched by the assembly. She was touched by the worship, right? But because this clown, who happened to be a woman, women can be clowns too, right? She saw my wife crying and she figured, well, she's a slave to this man. And I knew, and I knew
She
that
must be so miserable.
I knew that this plural stuff it's
Oh my god!
women are never going to be liberated as long as these men insist on doing what Abraham and Jacob did. And she literally pulled my wife aside and pulled her joy out. And then my wife said to her, no, you got this all wrong. I'm not crying because my husband is abusive. I'm crying because I'm so happy to see all these people, almost 80 people, keeping Sukkot, and the Ruach is touching me, and I can't stop crying. This is what happens when you invite a stranger. They misread, they misunderstand, and that all leads to a schism. Now, on the positive side, I'm dealing with a young man. He's probably listening because he likes you. He doesn't like me. Only kidding. And only kidding. It's one of my students, a new student, and he's in Tennessee, and we're working with him to come here to make a permanent move. And the first thing he says is, when I come, he doesn't have a lot of money. He says, when I come, I'm going to bring the lamb so that we can roast the lamb. See,
Oh, that's sweet.
he does not expect to come to be served. It's
Right.
free. It's free. Everything is
Right.
free. I can't afford Passover, so I'm going to show up over there because it's free. He said, he didn't even ask. He said, when I come, I'm going to bring whatever, 16, 18 pounds of lamb. Now that's someone who understands how the kingdom works, probably in good measure, because he listens to me and he listens to you. And he has the basic understanding of how to show up.
Amen. And the value of that means here's a value that you're going to gain. So again, you can show up with your complaints, your observations, and your disagreements, and you can make that first. And what you've just done is disqualify yourself. So that will not work. It will usually create conflict and difficulty. If, on the other hand, you walk in with respect, you walk in and develop a relationship, you walk in and develop connectivity, and then you bring maybe a thing that you want to point out, an observation, a disagreement, or even a complaint. Like I said, I call it COD. If you're going to do that, after you've built a relationship, it's appreciated. Before you built a relationship, it's offensive. So the relationship is the critical point. And when you don't bother to that, then you're not actually joining the assembly. So you're faking it. You're pretending to be in the right spot at the right moment because you know that's the right spot at the right moment, which only tells you that you knew this for a while and you've been avoiding it. So to me, what you've just confirmed is your foolish virgin status. And that right there ought to make you repent, make you say, he's right. I got to join a family. I can't just be popping in on families like that. I got to join one. I got to actually connect. I got to commit. Oh my goodness. People will have, you will have an obligation on you. Oh my goodness. Love will oblige you. Okay. Because to whom much is given, and you got to admit an assembly is much. So to whom much is given, much will be what? Required. But hey, you can go ahead and elect yourself to be without if you wish to. You want to designate yourself as one without? You want to designate yourself as a non-joiner? Somebody that stayed on the outside looking in? You're going to keep that fate. Careful what you choose.
Yep. And I'm going to tell you what's wrong with this believing generation. Yahusha found fault with his generation, believers and unbelievers. I'm gonna tell everybody what's wrong with this believing generation. Not satanic. No.
Believers.
Believing. You want me to tell all y'all from an apostle? You know our breakthrough? This may break some teeth, but I guess that's part of the breakthrough. Okay, or break some eardrums. The C word, commitment. This
Yeah.
generation is afraid of commitment. I can get somebody to write me a check for $10,000. Listen to this. I can get someone to write me a check, but I can't get that same person to commit $50 a month. Why? The C word. That's an unclean spirit. When
So
you
they don't
cannot
want
commit,
obligation.
when you cannot commit to Yahuwah, my friend, you're
Mhm.
carrying an unclean spirit.
Yes.
When Peter says, bring your honor, listen to me. When Peter says, bring your honor, he wants you to commit weekly or monthly because it's not the amount, it's the clean spirit that's giving.
Yes.
Everything
Listen,
Yahuwah does with us, everything Yahuwah does with us is based on commitment.
listen, if your gift don't make it in the gate, you ain't making it in the gate.
But
Go ahead
I'm
and sit with
talking,
that, folks. If
I'm,
your
I'm,
gift doesn't make it in the gate, you don't make it in the gate.
but I'm talking about commitment, meaning yes, if we do the math, 10,000 is better than $50 a month. But $50 a month shows the covenant commitment.
Yes.
They understand the doctrine of the apostles, breaking bread, fellowshipping from house to house. They continue in the apostles' doctrine. What is the apostles' doctrine? It is to build in you consistency and commitment. The people know I'm talking to them. Some of them are getting angry right now. I can care
Well,
less.
and this is the
Because you
reason
don't
why
you
we've been
don't you
doing this.
don't butter my bread and you didn't call me.
That's right. And that's why we've been doing this series on the kingdom within, because again, when the motivation comes from the outside of you, right, that actually lets you off the hook. It's much lighter. I'm telling you right now, the conviction from the still small voice that will get you up out of bed on a rainy evening when you didn't plan on getting up, but you need to get up because you ain't going to explain why you didn't close the front windows and you don't want to have to tell your wife why you didn't do it. So you get up. Why? The Ruach moves you. That's why integrity moves you. Okay. These come from the inside of you. This does not come from somebody yelling at you. This does not come from somebody telling you do this and do that. This comes from the inside. The kingdom is within you. And those that are constantly looking for someone out here are to tell them anything. Okay. 1 John 2:20 and 27 study. That means that you are not operating correctly. You're seeing it, but you're not getting into the kingdom because the Torah has to be written where? In your heart and in your mind so that the conference goes on the inside. Why? Because that accountability is 50 times higher than the accountability that you will get from somebody that you ask, what can I do for you? They're not going to tell you the same things that your own heart will tell you. They'll make it light. They'll make it easy, which is why people do that.
But I
Because
have
if you
seen
ask your heart, you're going to have a different answer. And he's going to, your Ruach is going to say to you, take that with you. Oh, he didn't ask me for that. No, he didn't. But I'm telling you inside to take that with you and give it to your brother. And that's the conversation you're avoiding. That's why you just asked him directly, because when you asked him, you knew he wouldn't even know about that thing. He doesn't even know about this that you're hiding. So you go, well, is there anything I can get you? And the Ruach says, you know darn well what you can get him. Get him that. And you're going, is there anything I can get you? Why? Because you're avoiding what the Ruach is pointing at.
correct.
From the inside of you.
Correct.
And you know that other person doesn't know it.
You're
So you'll
skirting.
ask them like a
You're
trick
skirting.
question.
Yep. Hoping that what they ask you for is less valuable or
Way less than what the
less of a
Ruach is
sacrifice
pointing
than with
at.
the Ruach.
We're not fooled. You're not
But let
fooling
me
us. We've been through this.
let me tell you what I've seen. I've been an evangelist. I've been
Woo!
a pastor.
That's good.
I've been an apostle. I've been a counselor. I've done 35 years of marriage counseling. I'm cutting back a little bit on that as I'm raising young people, young leaders. What I've seen, Peter, is Apostle Peter, is a digression in commitment. Let me just give you a brief example. When I started in the ministry 44 years ago, 1984, October of 84, I started as soon as I was called. People would commit to donate monthly. They would donate for videos. They would donate for audio. I had so many videos and audios before YouTube, way before YouTube, that I had to hire help to people who were donating to receive the meat, the word of life from the teachings, right? I literally had to hire someone, a brother named Kamar. I took him out of prison. I gave him a job. And he was doing all my shipping, all my cassette tapes and my CDs. That was until YouTube came along. And people said $500 a month, $300 a month. When you asked them for a commitment in exchange for the materials, there was never any issue. Today, I don't have one person other than the tithers, who is willing to make a commitment. Now, if Yahuwah acted that way toward us,
Yeah. Wow.
I'm going to feed you once a year because I'm afraid of commitment.
I'm not really
I'm
committed
going-
to you.
I'm going to send you groceries twice a year because I cannot commit.
You
I have a
consider
lot of
yourself married with that.
the people who are afraid to commit to a ministry,
Right.
either spiritually or financially. Here's a word of correction. If Yahuwah took care of you on a year-to-year basis or a
Right.
semi-annual to semi-annual basis, my friends, you wouldn't be living under a bridge. You'd be under the cement that is under the bridge. So even though we remain what? Faithless, he remains faithful because what? He cannot deny himself.
He remains faithful. So a couple things we talked about. First, I want to just quickly say this because I think it's a critical piece that I believe for a long time. And I'm talking about eros, love, not agape. Agape is on it's on its own class, but there's an eros love that we use in relationships, and it's a very important love that we need to understand. And that love is not sustained, does not sustain a commitment. It's eros love. It doesn't have the ability to sustain a commitment. It's not the same as agape. So just understand what I'm talking about. I'm talking about relationships. But it's the commitment that sustains that love. So it's the other way around. It is first the commitment to one another. And it's the fact that there's no backdoor. There's no exit. There's no disrespecting one another. All that's gone.
Man.
So now that commitment is going to sustain the way in which you conduct one another. If, on the other hand, you have no commitment and then they annoy you, well, that's the end of the relationship.
Correct.
See that? So it makes it easy to disconnect. So what's happening is divorce before the relationship even begins. They're already setting up their exit before they even begin. So they want to make sure that you don't hold them accountable to anything so they can slip away whenever they wish to. What that is imposterism. I hate to break it to you, but that's just fakeism. That's just fake. That's not genuine at all. That's somebody that recognizes that they're absent some genuineness and would like some, but it's still not to the level that they're willing to make a commitment for it. That's called lukewarm, folks. You're out of cold, but you ain't hot. I said you out of cold, but you ain't hot. So you're moving, though. I'll come back and check on you in a year, see if you want to get out of that ditch. But don't get it twisted. We're not going to pull punches here. That's not inside the ecclesia. He did not add you to the ecclesia such as should be saved. And if I were you, I'd be my number one prayer. Straight up. I wouldn't care where it is. Listen, the reason why I ended up in Jerusalem is because I was looking for that very thing. Y'all don't even know that. I was asking him the whole time, where do I belong? Where's my place? Where do I connect in? Where's my Sholiak? And I went all over this country looking. That's commitment. How many of you would do that? I know that's an example. It's meant to be. But the point is that's a level to which we must take seriously where we belong. And so how many of you are surprised if you look at that picture and say, oh, well, Peter is a Sholiak. Yahuwah made him a place that people could connect. Let me finish this. How many of you are shocked by that if that was what was in my heart, right? So you go, oh, well, that makes sense now that Yahuwah did what he did with him because of what was crying from his heart.
You weren't afraid of commitment.
No, I was not afraid of commitment.
Let me give you another example if I can here. So you know my son, I have many sons and daughters, but
yes.
My son, Pastor Yoshi, right? I love that title. He earned that. He really, even though we don't earn salvation, he earned that position. So his first couple of years as a believer, ready? His father was killed in a car crash. His mother lost a multi-million-dollar business of making parts for machines or something like that. I don't know how all the details. This is in the first year or two. Lost the family business. Father killed in a car crash. and there were other circumstances. Couldn't basically pay any bills, couldn't go anywhere, travel anywhere. The ordinary person would have given up. This is as a new believer, not somebody seasoned who knows eventually that another day will come. You know, the weeping endures for a night, joy will come in the morning. He was
Mhm.
too young to know that. He was too young to know that principle, that weeping may endure for a night and joy comes in the morning. And he stuck it out. And he says, I don't know what Yahweh's going to do with me, but if I'm next, if he's going to kill me, I'm in. I signed up. I'm signed up. I'm crazy enough to believe this word, these scriptures. And if I'm next, so be it.
So be it.
Yahuwah takes, Yahuwah takes away, he gives. Blessed be the name of Yahuwah.
Blessed
That's
be the Lord.
commitment. In a synopsis of that kind of behavior is commitment. And you hit the key that I've been saying for over 30 years. Take that dirty curse word out of your vocabulary. Divorce. It's an exit strategy. It's an option. Okay? When the
Yes.
sex is gone, and the goosebumps are gone, and the hormones have
Mhm.
subsided, you're either going to be friends or you're not going to be friends, and you're going to be friends based on commitment. And the especially a latter year of a marriage, when you're in your 50s, 60s, and 70s, it's less about sex and it's more about friendship, and friendship means commitment. So, as you said, a marriage that lasts is a committed marriage. And if you haven't taken that word divorce out of your manipulation or your ability to manipulate, get rid of it, because it still can come back to haunt you. I don't care if you're 70.
Yeah.
Don't let that dirty word ever come out of your mouth. And
Well, I will only say this one caveat.
Rivka and I made a covenant many years ago that we would never threaten each other with that. We would walk out for fresh
Yes.
air. We'd walk out for fresh air. If we had an argument, we'd take a walk. Okay. We'd even stay in a hotel for a night. No problem. But we would not threaten each other with that death certificate, because divorce is something dies in a divorce.
Well, I have to agree. I think that not only does something die, but something already died in many relationships before they started. I think the only time divorce should be mentioned is a warning. I think that if you see something that tends toward or lends toward, is moving in that direction, you should warn, hey, that leads toward this. This behavior goes this way. Like if a wife or a husband is misbehaving in a manner that can be very treacherous and dangerous, that's when that word should come out of your mouth. Do you understand that this road you're on takes you here? Right. So, as warning, it's appropriate. Beyond that, it certainly should not be used as manipulation, because, again, manipulation is not authentic. If you have to manipulate someone into loving you, they don't love you. So you shouldn't have to do that. That's a different conversation. But the commandments don't change, and love is sustained by that commitment. So that loving feeling you want to enjoy in your relationships, well, that's sustained by commitment. If somebody starts to think you don't love them, that's going to cause that relationship to grow cold. They need to know that that love is committed. They need to know that that relationship is not based on the emotional ups and downs of life, that it remains a fixed point. That's going to contribute to love. Is the product of the fixed point. It doesn't come and produce a fixed point. It's the product of. So it's sequential. You have to have the fixed point in order for the flow of the water of emotion to go between them. And so, again, if you change that, or if a person perceives a change, a wife may perceive her husband doesn't love her anymore, right? Doesn't that the post has changed or something has happened. If he reaffirms that and says, that ain't moving no matter what, my commitment to you is solid, she's going to feel that love all of a sudden again. Funny how that works. The commitment put a container, which is what covenant is. Covenant is the container. Yes. Which contains, and whatever is inside that is kadosh. Okay, so you outside, you're spilling those. That's what marriage was meant to teach us, is how to stay inside of a kadosh relationship.
But get it right. But getting back to what I was saying, in just the 40 years that I've been doing ministry, it's not the same, Apostle
No.
Peter. The commitment level has gone from here to it's. Go ahead, ask. You could do it. I don't have to tell you, but anybody in our audience, do a trial. Ask somebody to make a commitment. Ask a plumber. Ask a doctor to check up on you on a regular basis. Ask a plumber to check on your toilet every week. Without you asking, without you pressuring them, without you reminding them. This generation has no commitment. And then when the devices kick in, they don't even have a commitment to talk to each other in a restaurant. It used to be that when the cell phones first came out, people wouldn't talk to each other at dinner.
You
Now,
mean in 1906?
at home. Now they go out to eat and they still won't talk to each other.
So they had cell phones in the 1900s, early 1900s. I got video of it. Anybody wants to know. Second of all, if you asked anybody, I'm a bit of an anthropologist, in case you guys don't know this. So I pay attention to historical periods. That's what that means. I like watching people. People follow patterns. If you would have taken the temperature of America in the 1920s, 1919 to 1929, just a 10-year period, you would have seen something very similar to what he's describing about America today. You would have seen an America whose culture did not believe in marriage anymore, whose culture believed in what they call it, tripping the light fantastic, as a matter of fact, was the term they used. Tripping the light fantastic. That meant go out and party. They had speakeasies. They had bootleggers. They had, and this was the rage. It wasn't just once in a while. It was everybody. Like if you had any money, you were with this group. And so you wouldn't have seen marriage be very high on anybody's list. You would have seen a lot of promiscuity. You would have seen a lot of the same behavior that you see today. But then notice that you get the 1950s, 30 years later. And what do you have then? Well, you got Leave It to Beaver. You got a whole different era that comes in as a result. So what I'm trying to suggest to you is that these are not new cycles. That you can go back into history and find Sodom and Gomorrah level of wickedness. In fact, Sodom and Gomorrah itself. But then you'd find other periods of time that would look like the Puritans were running Earth. And so, again, it goes cyclically. If you look at different time periods, you'll see the influence of the prevailing wind, if you will. And it's almost as if it goes to a certain zenith, goes way over the Caligula line. They end up realizing how crazy that is, and the cycle resets. And then it goes back to the 1950s and polypurebred. This has been going on in Earth's history, cyclically, nonstop. So you're just at this point in the cycle when we're doing the trip the light fantastic, looking like a bunch of idiots until the big crash occurs. Then maybe we have a big war if we follow the same pattern. Then we have the new big deal. New deals, and they reset society, and we end up with 1950 suburbs. So again, I'm just saying that cyclically, we've watched this same societies that went really bad. I mean, really bad. And then, killing each other. Tommy guns, the whole bit, right? And then they come back and they go to polypurebred for a while. It's just part of the cyclical life.
What do you attribute that to?
Cause and effect. They're all being tossed to and fro by every wind of doctrine, and they're being affected by the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So when the red team wins a little bit, then the blue team, you watch it in the elections every year or every 4 years, the blue team wins and the red team wins. A big ocean. You just knock from one side to the other. It's constantly tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It's what you're before war forever.
Yeah. Before we take a couple of questions, and Jeff had one. So be so kind, briefly, why should we learn or understand how to command clean angels? Of course, unclean angels, get out of here, Right. But in other words, because a lot of Baptists or non-charismatics will find that their initial reaction to that will be, we're attacking Yahuwah's sovereignty. Only Yahuwah gets to dispatch angels. Now, so please explain, because I heard you mention that yesterday. Exactly why is that important, and how does one go about that?
Okay, well, a couple things. Number one, we can see from the scripture in the book of Corinthians that you will judge angels. So that is something that has been firmly established in the Brit Hadashah. Anybody have a problem with that? Go talk to Paul. Go talk to the Ruach.
1 Corinthians 6.
A long time ago.
1 Corinthians 6.
How can you judge an angel if you don't have authority in any way? Right? You had to have some kind of authority. Now, are you a son? Okay. And a son abides forever. A servant does not abide forever, but a son abides forever. That's a hint. Now, as a son, what am I being trained to be? Part of the royal family. One more time. We are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a Kadosh nation, right? So in Luke chapter 10, he tells us not to rejoice that the spirits are subject to us. Did he say evil or good? Go ahead, look at the word.
Wow.
I'll wait here.
That's good.
He didn't say evil or good.
That's right.
He just said the spirits were subject to you. And you saw both in operation. You say, wait a minute, I saw them casting out demons, but I don't know. Who do you think was escorting the demons out of there? Who do you think's cleaning the place? Who do you think's setting a hedge? Yeah, a double hedge about whatever room or house they went into where they declared shalom, and the shalom of Yahuwah came into that place. What do you think arrayed around that house when that man of Yahuwah arrived there and the man of shalom accepted him? What do you think set up around his house? Okay, so the angels are part of our infrastructure. Selah. I'll say it again. The angels are part of our infrastructure. So out of place they got that in the book of Enoch, we see that they came and taught men directly, and they took a position of lordship over man as opposed to serving man. Was that commended? Anybody find a commendation for that position? No? Oh, okay. How about the ones that served men? Did they get commendations? Big difference. So again, they're made heirs for the heirs of salvation. What do you think caused the fall? They were being told they were going to serve. What? Yeah, you're going to serve that. Okay, you made a little lower than the angels. That was an understanding of the spirit realm, because again, there's ugly and beautiful in the spirit realm, and Yahuwah hid all of that from us. So we didn't have to look at it all day. Okay? And all we see is the beautiful earth that he made. He limited our visual acuity on purpose. That wasn't accidental. It was intentional. So the angels who didn't leave their first estate have an assignment to attend to Yahuwah's creation, his creation in his image and after his likeness. They're not supposed to let you dash your foot against a stone. Okay? They're supposed to bear you up. Now, understand that we don't tempt him, so they operate a certain way. And the way they operate is in confirmation of the word of Yahuwah. So if you speak in the word of Yahuwah, you flowing with angels. I said, if you speak in the word of Yahuwah, you're flowing with angels. All right. And many of you have had a confrontation with demons. Those are easy. They're wicked. Those are no-brainers. Okay. Come on now. You stand in front of a demon. You act like a big
get
shot.
out next. Get out next. Get out.
The thing is wicked.
Out.
Of course, it left. It's wicked. You stood there in the tiniest amount of righteousness. You'll cast that thing
Short
out.
conversations. I like that.
Now let me see you stand in front of a kadosh angel. Oh, different conversation now. You felt big and strong against an evil, wicked spirit that hadn't 1 ounce of kadoshness in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem with that. You feeling big and strong now. Let me see you stand in front of a kadosh angel. Let me see how big and tough you feel now.
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
Okay, you need to learn how to operate at that level. Okay, and when I put my finger, so last year, this time, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to take a moment to.
But I do have a couple of follow-ups. But go ahead.
I know you do, but this is going to go a little long, folks. So hang in. If you need to leave, you can leave. But this is going to go a minute. When we came out here, the stones for the 12-stone altar were already here. They were under the ground. All we did was uncover them. Jeff will tell you. He's right here in the conversation. Okay? You talked about it yesterday during Evangelist Corner. We did not import them. They were already here. So all we did was uncover them, put them back where they belong, and reverence Yahuwah. Now, on the line of the East Gate. Now, my point in saying that is we had to be willing to do what nobody else had done. We had to be willing to be mocked, to be ridiculed, to be looked down at, to be insulted. We had to be willing to do all of that in order to receive what we received as Berakah. Okay? And what I see is a lack of true understanding of royal authority. Now, he taught me this a long time ago, that the angels respond to the word of Yahuwah. So when you declare the word of Yahuwah, you are just a declarer, but it is his word that's coming through you, and they, boom, respond to that. So you become accustomed to declaring the word of Yahuwah, because that is what gets the angelic response. It trained you, the system trained you to speak his word because of the response. It's that simple. Okay. And so the angels are part of that. Now, we put the altar together. We did the libation ceremony in the fall of 2024. That's when you see me walking with a jar of water toward the altar at the end of every broadcast that we do. That was the libation ceremony, 2024. He speaks to me and says, you can help them if you want to. You have the gifts. So I begin to walk in certain ways. April 2nd of 2025, I put my fingers to a keyboard to start what I began to do and have been working on ever since. These things change the world. We do not govern by yelling and screaming. We govern by declarations. And my level of declaration, they can't ignore. It's filed inside of their system, requires them to check themselves before they wreck themselves, right? So this is world-changing level stuff. Why is he doing it this way? He's doing it that way because he's confirming that his way is the only way. His wisdom cannot be gainsaid and cannot be contended with. All right. We're going to have countries license our tech because it came from him, because of what its effect is. And I'm telling you right now, he's ruling in a way you didn't see him. And he's doing it through his people. Amen. Go ahead.
Couple of follow-ups. What you said, the spirits, rejoice not that the spirits are subject to your name.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. Yes, go ahead.
I mean, they're subject to you, but that your name is written in the Lamb's Book of Life. So, like you said, he did not differentiate between clean and unclean spirits. See, we read that verse, or I read that verse and have for over 40 years, and say, oh, unclean spirits are subject to me. But he didn't say that. Like you pointed out, which was brilliant, rejoice that your names are written in the Lamb's Book of Life. Rejoice not that spirits. So it's not just unclean. That would include clean angels. That's number one. That's number one. So we rather recognize what you were sharing. That's number one. Number two, 1 Corinthians 6, 1 and 2. Do you not know that in the age to come, we will judge Malachim, right?
Which age is he talking about?
But that's what I'm going to say. It hit me. See, I told you when you got the return of Yahusha in 70 AD, truth, not theory, truth. Listen, every verse will speak volumes, and add a volume that you never saw or heard before. You will hear the voice.
Oh, that's easy to prove.
You will hear the voice of Yahuwah, as like you did in the book of Revelation, when John said, I heard the voice as it were of many waters. Let me say that again. When you humble yourself and believe the timestamp scriptures of Yahusha, that he returned in the first century, no verse from Genesis 1 to Revelation 22 will read the same, but more importantly, it'll speak in levels of waters. It'll be the voice of many waters. And I think you found that to be true. So when I used to read 1 Corinthians 6, don't you know that we will judge angels? How come you guys can't settle a small matter? No. Now, in the age to come is when we're going to judge angels, like you just said before. Well, when did the age or the Messianic age begin? We're in the new heavens and the new earth. What does that mean?
You're supposed to be commanding angels. That's what
now is the time not only to command. Correct me if I'm wrong, Peter. I don't mind being corrected. But we can judge angels now. Listen, not when we die. If we're going to judge angels, we used to think when we die in the Olam Haba, in the world to come. But according to the new heavens and new earth, we are in the age that will never end. Because when we die, we're going to go right into the New Jerusalem, right?
Right.
So that means we can judge, not only, we can, correct me if I'm wrong, we can not only command angels now, but we can judge them. I judge you unfaithful, I judge you faithful. Raphael, I dispatch Raphael to heal me, to heal my wife, to heal my family, because we are in the age and I have that authority and I have the judgment of the unclean angels, and the dispatching of clean angels is all in my purview.
Now let me ask you a quick question, guys.
Am I missing something there?
No, you're not missing a thing. Let me ask you a question, guys.
Oh, I'm sorry.
How
One
many
more
of you-
follow up. One more follow up. I'm
Okay.
sorry, because I'm going to forget. Otherwise, I'm going to forget. And when you answer that, and I think I answered my own question, can we dispatch angels by name, by
Okay.
a specific name?
Is he, you done?
I'm done. I'm done.
All right. So we are made in his image and after his likeness. What's his name? His name is Yahuwah Sebaot. What does that mean? It means he's the commander of heaven's armies. Okay. And so all of his children are in his image and after his likeness. You are meant to be commanders. You are all commanders at various levels. So what did the greatest level of faith get commended at? Just stop and consider. What did Mashiach himself say? He said, I have not found so great a faith, no, not in Yasharel. So he already took one faith and said, I'm putting this at the very top. I want you guys to see this. What was he describing? A centurion who understood that he was under authority and in authority. So he had to submit himself to that which was above him, and he had to speak with authority to that which was beneath him, if you will, for lack of a better way to say that. Or subject to him is probably a better way to say that than beneath, because I don't really think that, but subject to him. So this is the faith that Mashiach commended, that he didn't have to even do anything but say the word and his servant would be healed. This is one who fully understood the power of the spoken word, the decree of a royal. Okay, a decree of a royal. So what he was doing was he was acknowledging the royalty of Yahusha, and that all he had to do was make a decree, and that decree would be followed by his invisible servants that no one could see but would follow his decree. And sure enough, he said, now see, that's no greater faith than that in all of Yasharel, because he understood that the invisible world was subject to the declaration of what we could in fact hear. So even though we don't see the way the engine works, we know we push the gas, it works, right? So in the same way, the angelic host does this. Now, how many of you have practiced this? Now, one thing he told me when I put my fingers to it, and I said to Mindy literally within a week, so like by the end of Passover last year, I'm like, you know what? This is management school. This is management school. I'm learning to command and not people. Not people. So I got to practice on fake people. Okay. No, but you laugh, but it's true. I got to practice on people that if I screw up, I can apologize and fix it, right? Whereas if you do it with a real person, you really messed up. Okay. So how many of you need some practice in management? I know I did. How many of you need some practice in resource management or in allocation? Or here's one, delegation. Okay. And delegating authority, delegating properly. These are all things that are contained within the example of Cornelius. So when I looked at that, I looked at the judging of angels and understanding that they are subject to us. So if I didn't command correctly and they didn't end up doing something that they could have done and that could have intervened or could have made a difference, and because I didn't understand my dashboard, right? I didn't understand how to push any of the buttons. Well, I'm not a qualified son. I need son training, not angel training, son training on what a son is, on what a son does, on how a son functions, on what authority a son has, on what he's expected to do, what is Yahuwah's expectations, and how does he give you power to execute that? He cannot judge you without giving you power. You cannot hold somebody accountable without also giving them authority. That's abuse.
Yeah.
And so we cannot hold brethren accountable to accomplish something that they didn't get the power to do. Right, and so that power is not all natural. Some of it is supernatural. So if you're only operating purely, let me finish this, on only natural power, you do not command angels, you do not walk in the spirit, you're walking with half your toolbox and still expecting the same results. Go ahead, brother.
So you've definitely answered the question clearly. Yes, we can. So here, and here's a question: we're in the messianic kingdom. We can call on angels. We can command them, judge them. Now, can we specify? So if we need healing, can we say, Raphael, we dispatch you? Or let's say,
No, you can't.
wait, wait, wait,
Now,
wait, 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 wait. Let me finish.
stop you right there.
Let's say someone needs a more intimate walk with Yahuwah, right? So
Mhm.
then there's the angel Peniel, which
No, stop. I'm just gonna stop you right there with all of that.
you can't do that. No, I'm not. I'm just asking you. I'm
I'm gonna answer it in a very simple way. We don't have to have
Yeah.
50 examples. I don't have to go through every angel to tell you stop right there. We
Uh-huh.
worship Yahuwah.
I only
We-
gave you one example.
He says we call upon if I've heard this crazy, we call upon the name of Yahuwah and we are saved. Whose name? Yahuwah. You don't call Michael, you don't call Peniel. You know them, you know Uriel, you know them, they know you, but that's not who we call.
It's a good point.
So you're taking advantage of the kingdom without paying homage to the king?
That's a good point.
We don't do that. We call
So
the king.
So he decides. He decides what angel is dispatched.
He's the filter.
Okay, but let me just make sure everybody understands you. You call on Yahuwah Sabaoth,
Yes.
and you let him decide which part of the tzava, that's singular for army,
Right.
which part of the tzava he sends in your deliverance.
Yeah, because those are his angels.
Whereas when you command Peniel, Raphael, Gadriel, even though he's a wicked angel, you are now assuming authority that is not yours. You're ignoring
Chain of
Yahuwah.
command.
You're ignoring chain and command, and you're ignoring the Yahuwah of the hosts.
That's right.
So, but the reason this is important, wait. The reason this is important, because if you go into that arena, you are entering angelology, which is the worship and study of angels. And what does Sholiach Shaul warn us about?
Don't do that.
In the epistles. Do not give them worship or unnecessary attention.
That's right. And
they're there to be ministering spirits.
That's right.
Like you said, but you've got to go through the proper channel.
Correct.
You would think that's why you reacted the way you reacted, because you know there's a lot of believers out there who are into this.
Right. You need to stop right there. You're going to get in a lot of trouble.
They think they can tap Peniel.
No, you cannot. If you try,
or Gabriel on the shoulder. Hey, Gabriel, now you listen to me. See, they got this idea through
you're competing with your
will. What does Sholiach Shaul call that?
He calls that it's crazy. You're literally competing with him. My goodness, that's nuts.
You're triggered. See, he calls that false will worship. Yes.
Yep.
False will.
You need to run the other way.
In other words, it's the will of the soulish realm.
Yes.
As opposed to the Yahuwah's will.
What's the prayer we pray every day? Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. It crushes us. It crushes us. And it's meant to.
I see how that triggered you, which means you've seen it.
We don't play with that. No. Yeah. And I love my Father. My love for my Father is absolute. And angels move when I speak because of it. So,
but you appeal to
they don't move because I call their names. They move because I call his.
You appeal to the Father. Amen. We're out of time. I think this might have been, well, maybe
you won't say that.
The best. This was the best. Episode 51, the start of a new Jubilee. This may have been the best broadcast and time of ministry that we ever had. So thank you for being part of it. Thank you, Apostle Peter, and all the folks over at New Kingdom around the world. We love you, and Yahuwah willing, we'll see y'all soon.